Today on the channel, we're kicking it old school with the Young Bucks LJN edition.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for an LJN Wrestling, yes, LJN unboxing and review. As today, we've got the throwback edition LJN style Young Bucks. Of course, AEW's Young Bucks, and now we see, in this day and age, we see the LJN's style figures making a little bit of a return in the AEW Unmatched wave, and of course, we'll do a little comparisons with these guys against a lot of similar style figures later on in the video. But we got to do this video like we do all the other videos on the channel. We got to take a look at the packaging, we got to talk about it, we got to unbox it, we got to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. So the LJN, the old Young Bucks. Now this was a Ringside Collectibles exclusive a few years ago. Let's see if I can see the date on here somewhere. I don't see it. I don't see a date. But it was like, gosh, 2-3 years ago this bad boy came out, and kind of out of nowhere, a bit of a surprise, LJN. The name being used once again for action figures. Now this is all we got. We just got the Young Bucks. There was a lot of chirping online that maybe they were going to get more figures, but that was it. We got the Young Bucks only. This set did go down to clearance. It did go to fairly deep discount, but like a lot of things, they get discounted. A couple years go by, new collectors get in the game, people that passed in previous lives, whatever, they jump in, want this. And this is a fairly valuable set after all these years. I did get a heck of a deal on this set. This is my second set, so I do have a mint on card set. I'm just going to leave that on card, but I'm going to open this one up just for science and to put with all my other LJN type stuff. So that is the plan, and of course we're going to unbox it, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to see where it goes from there like everything else. But here is the packaging on this, and one of the first things, if you go back 2 years ago when this came out, everybody was super confused. Why is this flap in the front? What is going on here? What is this? They were very, very confused, and it is a little confusing, especially if you weren't an LJN collector back in the day. But this is a definitely an homage to the old school LJN 2-pack classic 2-pack packs that we had way back in the 80s, of course. And they had this little flip like this little flap like that. I don't get it. I never really understood it back then. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I get why they did it here, but all intents and purposes, I would have probably not done that, as it does not display very well, mint on card. I mean, you're kind of stuck like this unless you really do bend this up and you hold it there and tape it back or something, but then you're kind of ruining the box of the figure. So I don't know where the answer lies, but I'm not a huge fan of this flap. Wasn't a huge fan back then, not a huge fan right now, but you can see it right there. Young Bucks tag team, what's it say? Twist and turn them into different wrestling holds. Well, we'll see if that's even possible with these LJN style figures shortly. Then you get the beautiful packaging art, the throwback. You got the Bucks and, of course, their iconic pose. You got the very Alvin and the Chipmunks type crowd going on. Another throwback to the LJN. The colors throw back to LJN. The ring throwback to LJN. I always think of that as Alvin right there from Alvin and the Chipmunks. That big A. Very interesting. On the side, you get tag team, same tagline. You get the LJN rainbow logo. Very familiar to kids of the 80s. A lot of different toy lines, video games even. Same thing on the other side over here. And, of course, the back of the package. We got those trading cards on the back. Of course, if you were an LJN collector back in the day like I was, you were saving the posters, you hung them up on your wall, and then you cut those cards out. That's exactly what I did. Sad I got rid of all those many moons ago. But you got a little blurb on each card for each guy. We'll talk about that. Let's see what it says right here on these guys. Matt Mr. Instant Replay Jackson, born March 13th, 1985. From Rancho Cucamonga, California. 5'10", 195 pounds. Signature move, the old super kick. Slick Nick Jackson, born July 28, 1989. From Rancho Cucamonga, California as well. 5'11", just a hair taller. 195 pounds, the exact same weight. Signature move, the super kick as well. Collect the entire wrestling line from LJN. Well, they must be talking about the old line because there's no other new lines via LJN at this point in time as I'm filming this video. But let's pull them out of the package. Let's see what all the fuss is about. And let me tell you, there was not a lot of fuss when these first came out. There's the old packaging off to the side. See you later as I knock some stuff over. A little plastic there. See you later. Goodbye. And then you get down to the old Young Bucks and the old plastic prison. There they are. There's Matt. There's Nick. Looking good. Nick Okay, well, we'll pull them out. I got some questions already. See you later. There it goes. All right, we're out of the package. We're ready to go. We're ready to dive in on these guys. And now, LJN style, a lot of people don't like them. I get it. You had to be there at the time. Obviously, there's some younger folks out there that do enjoy the LJN figures, but that's all we had as a kid. I wasn't a kid of the Remco age. I was the LJN Hasbro age. LJNs were great. I used my imagination. It worked out. But I can understand where kids later on, this day and age, hey, I got my Mattel Elites, all the articulation. I get all that. But it was a moment in time. If you were there, you were there. That's what I'm going to say. But these do have a feel of the LJN. Now, I feel like they're saying, oh, it's LJN because the height is somewhat comparable, of course. It's got that glossy sheen. There's no articulation, so I guess it's LJN style. But that being said, these feel a little bit different than our LJNs. Our LJNs were very flexible. These got a little bit of flex to them, but very, very minimal amount of flex. And a little bit hard in a lot of spots. No bendable, no moving around. So it's close enough to be dangerous, I guess is what I'm going to say there. We got Matt and Nick Jackson, and boy, they've really changed a lot in the last couple of years, I guess, because they are a little hard to tell apart. But I believe this is Matt Jackson here. You got Nick here. Nick should have blonder hair. They both have jet black hair going on, so that is a little strange. It's one of the first things I noticed. But they are in their iconic Young Bucks pose, so you can pose them like this. That is neat. That is cool enough. I guess we'll start here. We'll run it through. They both got the same color patterns going on. They both got the same fur on the boots. Articulation-wise, zero articulation to these figures, as we talked about. Got the ponytail sculpt in here. A little bit thin on the eyebrows. A little purple around the lips. Looks a little bit strange to me. 2 fists on both of them. I'm all for the fist. You guys know that. I love a good fist. Very interesting pattern to the outfits on both these guys, as it looks like just kind of paintbrush strokes there, which probably is what it is. But it does look good, especially from a distance. It all blends together. But if you look close, it doesn't look as professional as I guess maybe some other toy lines would be, but it still works. It's good enough to be dangerous. I do like that these guys can stand very well on their own. Some LJNs stood really good. Some didn't stand so great. These guys seem to stand fairly perfect on their own. Not a lot of playability with these guys. You go back to the LJN, some of those LJN guys like Rick Rude, for instance, no playability. And these guys, I would say, are pretty much in that close audience of no playability. There's not a lot of people playing with these, and there's really nothing to play them against buying these a couple years ago. But there's not a lot. They're kind of in their position. They're in their pose. They're stuck there. What are you going to do? I guess some elbow drops, maybe some clotheslines. Not a lot of playability here, but I would say 99.9% of the people that got this, they're either leaving it on card or they're displaying like this. They're not giving it to their kids to play with. So there is that. So not a lot to talk about after all on all these guys, but a cool enough piece, especially if you're a Young Bucks guy. If you love the Young Bucks, this is great. This is a great desk display. It's a good thing you can put in your AEW collection, whatever you want to do. But it's just kind of one of those things. It is what it is, and that's the way it's going to be. But how about some comparisons to some other LJN and LJN-inspired lines so we can get a little comparison of height and how these guys go together? We might as well kick it all the way back. I grabbed the Macho Man, Randy Savage, to compare with these guys. So you can see the Macho Man. Actually, height's pretty good, but if these guys were standing straight up, they'd probably be about this tall. So really the scale isn't perfect, but the way they're posed makes it perfect, if that kind of makes sense. But some similarities and definitely some differences. You could tell they're inspired, but not the exact same quality-wise, especially as you got a lot more flexibility on this Macho Man than you do these guys. These guys are a much, much harder plastic. Of course, AEW, they are doing the LJ-inspired figures right now. Here is the Walmart exclusive Cody Rhodes. You go to enough Walmarts, you can probably still find him on the pegs to this day. Once again, not bad because of the way these are posed, but if these guys were straight up, I think they'd be too tall. So, what is scale? You know, the LJNs weren't the greatest in scale either. A lot of guys are about the same size, but it is what it is. So, I guess it can work if you want it to. Maybe put these guys in the way back. You put Cody a little bit like that. You use a little of that old-fashioned smoke and mirrors we talk about on the channel all the time. You could definitely do that. Of course, we go all the way back to WCW, the OSFTMs, and the plastic and the quality of the figure feels like this the most to me. It's a little harder. These feel very similar. You could almost say this is an OSFTM throwback line is what you could think of this Young Bucks with. But there it is right there with Vader. Once again, they're straight up. They're going to tower over Vader. They're a lot bigger than Vader right here, just standing next to him. So that doesn't quite work, but as far as feel and texture of the figures, feels most in line with Vader right there. And then the final piece of the puzzle is the Jakks Classic Superstars LJN figures that were inspired back in the day. Very, very small. There's John Cena. You can see does not really fit so well with old John Cena right there. For me, I think what I'm going to do is I will probably put these on the back of my AEW shelf with my Cody, both Codys, and of course we got Darby Allin coming fairly soon. I'm going to put those together, have a little own world, keep my LJNs all together where they are, and then I have my OSFTMs and my Jakks Classic kind of mixed in between a couple of shelves as well. So that's kind of how I'm going to keep it, is where it's seemingly to me is where it's going to go. But it's not too shabby. It's not the greatest thing in the world. But it is cool, love letter to the past, to somebody of my age bracket who was into these things back then. It makes a lot of sense, but I could see more modern collectors, probably an easy pass for them. But what say you guys out there in YouTube land? Where do you sit with these AEW Young Bucks LJN figures? I guess not technically AEW, but you know what I mean. Where do you sit on these? Did you even know they existed? Did you get them on discount? Did you get them when they first came out? Did you pass on them completely? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're here, make sure you thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell, and then follow along on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle, and Patreon.com, where you can get this video and a lot of other early bonus content, exclusive content, and of course, giveaways over there at the Patreon. And best of all, you support the channel, and you can also support the channel at Pro Wrestling Tees, search Kyle Peterson. So for a little LJN throwback style unboxing, I am Kyle. I'll see you guys all real soon. Oh, Macho, no.